don't think inflation comes about when the economy grows too much or hardworking Americans get an increase in their wages. I think inflation comes about when the government prints too much, by which I mean the central bank, and broadly speaking, the government spends too much.
And so we're spending too much money, and now we've been cleaning up their mess ever since. I will also note the Republicans have been taking efforts to reduce the deficit. I think year to date it's down about 10.6% from where it was last year. And this is why it's so important we get our spending under control. I think you also talked about the balance sheet. And one of the things about the balance sheet is that I think if I hear you're saying it's too big, and it benefits people who have financial assets. But if you don't have financial assets, you haven't seen the benefit of a large balance sheet at the Fed. Is that accurate?
Senator, it's broadly accurate. When the large balance sheet was created in the 2008 financial crisis, the agreement between my colleagues and I was that we would only use this in an emergency scenario, because the transmission mechanism for a large balance sheet, it goes two ways, through signaling effects and through asset prices. Now, at the time of the financial crisis, financial asset prices were down 60 or 70%, and so it was understandable. Interest rates were at zero. But in the ordinary course, the central bank, an independent body, should not be adopting a set of policies that have that kind of distributional consequence. That's why interest rates are a better way to be setting monetary policy.
So if I don't want to put words in your mouth, but just what I hear you saying is let's reduce the size of the balance sheet, because that benefits maybe half the American population. And then let's focus on interest rates and inflation so we can benefit all Americans. That if we take interest rates down, that benefits all Americans. You said it gets into the nooks and crannies. That if we get inflation under control, that is how we benefit all Americans. And the size of the balance sheet has only benefited some Americans. So what you're really about is trying to change a policy at the Fed that has really benefited under the last administration people who have lots of money. Actually, not just the last administration, the previous administrations. But you also want to make sure we get off of the inflation. I mean, during the Biden administration, we saw 4 years in a row of declining real wages for American households. And what you want to do is get that inflation under control so that all American households benefit. Is that fair?
That is fair. I'm going to paraphrase former Chairman Paul Volcker, where he said something along the following lines. You would need to have a PhD from an elite institution to believe that inflation doesn't have something to do with money.
Okay, great. Real briefly, I've only got a few seconds left here, but I'm going to switch topics on you real briefly. Chairman Powell and Secretary Bessent met with leaders of our largest banks recently to talk about advanced AI models like Mythos from Anthropic to identify banking vulnerabilities. It's apparently very good at finding those vulnerabilities. When confirmed, what will you do to modernize the Federal Reserve's internal risk assessments, tabletop or scenario planning exercises to ensure that we can anticipate and defend against the type of emerging risks that potentially models like Mythos could present if used in the wrong hands?
I have about 20 seconds to answer that.
20 seconds. Senator, a lot is the short answer. The 15-second answer beyond that is the pace of change in these technologies is accelerating. AI, which I think of really as American ingenuity, gives America a huge head start relative to our competitors around the world, but it's not without real risks and real challenges, and a forward-looking, reform-oriented central bank needs to be on the front end of it.
Great. Thank you very much. I look forward to your leadership.
Senator Gallego.
Hey, Mr. Chair.
How are you?
In a 2019 interview with Bloomberg, you said monetary policy is important not for the decision it makes, but for reasons it gives for the explanations. Mr. Warsh, the Federal Open Market Committees, or if the Fed sets U.S. monetary policy through interest rate decisions at those meetings, do you commit to maintaining the current practice of holding a meeting at least once every 8 weeks, yes or no?